Hello and welcome to another episode from the CNI Energy and Storage Summit, the Zambia edition. My name is Baba Lapungane and I'm the program manager for the summit. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to one of our valued advisory board members, Mbiko Banda, who is an electrical engineer and research lead at Africa GreenCo. Mbiko, thank you so much for making the time to have this conversation with me. If we can just start off by introducing yourself and tell us why you've agreed to be a part of the summit.
Thanks a lot, Babala. So, first and foremost, as you've already mentioned, I work at GreenCo as an engineer and a research lead, where I'm working under the business development department. And at the same time, I'm also pursuing my PhD studies in electrical power systems. So having asked to be joined the advisory board for the Energy and Storage Summit was something that came in as an opportunity for me. As for me, it goes beyond dialogue and it's more about real market transformation. So, the main reason I agreed to join the advisory board is first and foremost, it sits at the intersection of productivity, energy resilience, as well as to help to capture the impact. Yet at the same time, it helps to put a voice in terms of finances, in terms of our models, in terms of policies. So the decision to participate, of course, was also to bring on board part of the experience that I have gained from Africa GreenCo, which is quite experienced in the market. And at the same time, my academic research is also a space that provides more of public, private, civil society, and stakeholder solutions where both of them can correlate. So, in short, it's basically to bridge the gap between energy system planning and ground bankability.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction and just giving us an overview. And I can sense your passion for the sector. Which brings me to my next question. What would you say is the biggest challenge facing the energy sector in Zambia right now? And what quick gains should we be focusing on?
So the biggest challenge that's facing the energy sector right now, being the energy sector in itself, is access to electricity. That's the main challenge that's being faced. Of course, that challenge is broken down into different parts. And the main problem is that there has been a mismatch between energy demand as well as availability of reliable, affordable power. And at the same time, to create more of a long term risk mitigated finance solution. So many of the energy clients, which in this case would be CNI consumers, which is commercial, industrial, as well as mining consumers, and could range all the way from SMEs, larger corporates, are more of in a process of transitioning from whatever was being used currently, which was fossil fuels. In other parts of the region, it was renewables already, but almost everyone is transitioning to help create a green grid. And just the consumers that I had mentioned earlier on are the major people that are contributing to consuming electricity. So it first starts with them.
Mm.
So, one of the challenges being the access to electricity draws all the way down to the absence of credit-worthy off-takers, standardized and bankable PPAs, as well as scalable risk mitigation strategies that could help to grow the market.
Mm.
So the main problem that would be there is to look for what is the appropriate way to aggregate demand of electricity. At the same time, how would we improve project bankability? And also, how do we provide certainty to all generators that would like to come on board? And by generators, I mean in terms of IPPs, how do
Mm.
these IPPs come on board and how are we facilitating the uptake of this energy to tackle the biggest challenge, which I had mentioned before, that was access to electricity. So this is the major challenge that we should look at, and then everything else just flows in as a solution.
Oh, beautiful. And with that, of course, I would imagine that we need to see some policy shift and some legislative. So, what would you say, what legislative or policy change has the potential to have the biggest on the sector, the biggest impact on the sector?
Great. As I mentioned, that the main challenge that we're facing is access to electricity. I guess one of the policy changes that has to be impacted as well as be visible is the enforcement of open access regimes, or rather open access regulations, particularly in the case of Southern Africa, where I do have much more experience on. When a third party generator sells electricity direct to CNI customers, this could create more of competitiveness in the market as well as reliability, which comes with competitiveness. And in
Mm,
short, I think it's more about when we are dealing with these policies, it's more about thinking to say, how are we at the same time unlocking capital? Because capital can come from both sides. It can come from the
mm,
private sector and it can also come from the public sector. So it's
mm,
more of creating this mechanism that provides viable trading as well as balancing mechanisms into the sector. So the first policy would be, of course, dealing with how do we access the grid by creating open access regimes. And
mm,
furthermore, it's more about thinking about what policies are going to enhance regional integration, regional interconnection. Because in as much as we have different countries that are trying to battle the that are trying to battle into this field of providing reliable and affordable electricity to each and every one of their consumers, there's also the question of how do the different countries in the region manage to solve the problem of interconnection? How are they trading electricity just beyond borders? Because the
mm.
problem of a country then in turn becomes a problem of a region. And that, of course, is one that we cannot do without, because it helps also to tackle the main problem in terms of what we're facing. So it would be to add legislative policies, or better, more enhance the already existing policies to
Mm.
promote open access regimes as well as promote interconnection and intertrading of electricity just across the region.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you for highlighting the importance of the access regime. And it's a good thing that we have covered that extensively also in the program. So, those that will be attending the CNI Energy and Storage in Zambia, they will actually get to learn more about this new policy. My next question for you is, what makes you proud to work in power and energy?
Um, what makes me proud to work in power energy is the fact that you become a part of something that's much, much bigger.
Mm,
Because I mentioned earlier on, and also emphasizing on the point of access to electricity, matching the supply with demand, which could never be equal, but at least trying to bridge that gap and making sure the gap is not as wide. So, what makes
mm,
me proud to work in the power energy sector is being a part of this transformation and change that an individual can be part of on their own, but at the same time, they are part of a bigger goal. And this bigger goal is basically helping to shape the energy markets, helping to drive innovation, and also helping to align the sustainable development goals. In this particular case, we'll be talking about SDG 7, which is
mm.
clean and affordable access of electricity, SDG 17, creating partnerships, as well as driving forward the conversation for climate action. So this makes me very proud and also gives me a lot of ambition to say there's more that could be done and there's more that's being done, because everyone could be imagined as being part of the puzzle of what could work and solve the problem that the region is currently facing.
Agreed, agreed. Because I can also just add to that that with collaboration we can achieve more and more. And as you said, we can close that wide gap of the access to energy or to electricity. So I just want to now shift a little bit and we get to know you on a more personal level. What skill set or talent do you have that most people are not aware of?
Um, I wouldn't know if it's a skill set or talent that I would say, but it's the ability to switch between different languages and like speak about them at the same time. For example, so I am multilingual. So two major languages I do speak is English and French, and then I do speak a bit of Arabic as well. So I could actually be speaking to someone in English and at the same time speak to someone in French. So it happens like very automatically, to mention also local languages that come from like my mother tongue, my Zambian languages. But then for international languages, it's very easy for me to like switch and understand at the same time. So someone could ask me a question in French, and then the other one's asking me in English, and I could easily respond to both questions without hassling that much.
Oh, you are blessed. You are blessed, and you can go anywhere in Africa, and you'll still fit in. Be it you're going to North Africa, in whether in Morocco or Egypt, you'll be very well fine. You go to West Africa, you'll still be okay. So I think, yeah, you are truly blessed, and you have a beautiful skill you possess. The next question is, do you know how to change a plug on an appliance?
Yes, I do know how to change a plug, of course, being an electrical engineer.
Of
So when it comes to
it's a cheeky
changing a
question.
plug, just for jokes, first things first, make sure you take a photo of how you found the plug before you actually change it. So open it, take your photo of that just so you're sure. But yeah, so when you're changing a plug, of course, there's a standard of where exactly what should go. So there's three general wires that are found in the plug, which is the brown, the live wire, the blue, the neutral, as well as the green or yellow, depending on which part of the country you come from, which is the earth wire. So the main thing to keep in mind is knowing which and every one of these wires should be placed, and then the
Yes.
rest is just pinning in screws. So, but make sure to take that photo before, just to be sure, because you
Just
just
to
never
avoid
know.
some electrocution.
Exactly. It must look before and after should look the same.
Thank you for that advice. For anyone who's watching, they will take that to note. The last question is, what book or quote do you use to inspire yourself and others?
So I'm not much of a bookworm, in so to say. Um, I'm not much of a bookworm because I love numbers. Numbers are what like drive me. Of course, being an engineer, I'm more drawn to numbers. But then I think one quote that I've always been taught myself ever since I was young was, "You can be anything that you
Mm,
want to." Because the field that I'm in, which is the engineering field, it's a field that's male dominated. And then
mm,
having a female in it is more of, you're trying to bridge the gap between this gender equality, but also bridging the gap to prove that women actually do deserve a seat at the table. Women actually do
mm,
deserve these engineering positions and so on and so forth. So
mm,
for me, it's more of like, do not let the law speak for you in terms of creating opportunities. You have to create those opportunities on your own, because if you're worth the job, there's definitely no discussion to say that you shouldn't
mm,
be at the table. So you can be
mm.
anything is my slogan.
Yes, I love it. And it actually speaks to, I think there's a popular saying where they say your dreams are valid. So you need to believe in that. So I think it just, yeah, it speaks to that as well. I think this brings us to the end. Thank you once again for your time. And thank you to our viewers for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes as we introduce you to our board members. Do you have anything to say in closing?
Just want to encourage everyone that we definitely do look forward to seeing you at the Energy and Storage Summit. It's been actually quite an intensive past weeks where we've been working on the program, trying to see how we bring topics that are relevant, topics that are going to speak to the sector, and topics that are current. So I'm excited to see what each and every one of our guests has to offer, but also our valued attendees that will be coming to
Yes.
learn as well as
Mm.
contribute.
Oh, well, very well put. Thank you so much, Mbiko.
Okay, thank you, Babalwa.